Welcome to Into the Score. My name is Avishai Darash. I'm your host for this podcast. In Into the Score, I get a chance to sit with very interesting people coming from the industry of music, politics, and entrepreneurship. And today, I have the great Pablo Martínez. What's up, man?
Thank you. Sorry. What's it? I got excited already.
I could see.
Was it too loud? Did it peak already? Well, thank you. I thought you brought me as a politician, but like.
I mean, we're gonna
career as a
exactly. We're gonna get to that. Yeah. But it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
In this podcast, I get a chance to ask people that usually are behind instruments and let's say even their digital presence is more about their instruments and more about their, let's say, career in that sense. I get a chance to actually ask them questions that normally followers or people that are in the industry don't get a chance to hear or get an answer to. So I'm going to start with the basic question of actually what brought you here to Amsterdam.
What brought me here? Well, I came here to study, like many other musicians. Oh, sorry. That's a fly already. Didn't like it. Wrong.
It was like bullshit. Yeah.
No, I came here to study and to do my master's. And then my plan was to be here for a couple of years and then go back to Spain. But sometimes you plan your life, but then life plans you. So like I just started getting gigs and work, and I thought, why not staying a bit longer, and it's been 12 years already.
Damn, 12 years, nice. And was it like, because you said you came to study, is the conservatory, because you came to Amsterdam,
yes.
Is the conservatory known in Spain? Because I see there is a community of people coming from Spain and studying in the conservatory, also in The Hague.
Yes.
Is it known there? Is it like, how did you get to that?
Yeah, now it is very known. And it goes in waves of people, I think. So, but at the time I came, I didn't know the Amsterdam Conservatory. I knew Rotterdam, and I knew the trombone class in Rotterdam. And I did like a master. I went to a master class by Jürgen van Rijen. He's the principal trombone of the Concertgebouw Orchestra, because I studied classical in Spain too. And then at that moment, they were studying a nice trombone class in Rotterdam. And then some people from Spain were starting to go there to study classical. And then when I finished my bachelor, I was, considering what to do. And then I remembered, and I knew Bart van Leer, who was the teacher in Rotterdam at that time. So I knew about Rotterdam, actually, Ilya Reinhardt. So I started, checking out, teachers. So actually, I applied in Rotterdam, but then I thought, what about Amsterdam? So I didn't know anything about the Amsterdam Conservatory. I didn't know anyone here. I was just checking out. I checked out the teachers, and I thought, wow, they're great, but I didn't know them. And I thought, well, what if it doesn't go well in Rotterdam, So I also applied in Amsterdam. But actually, it was the other way around, because Amsterdam was before Rotterdam. The audition in Amsterdam was before the audition in Rotterdam. So I made it here, and I thought, I'm not going to Rotterdam anymore. I'm just gonna stay here, Yeah, I just didn't want to come again, do the audition again. I just got accepted. Why would I?
Yeah.
But I also applied in London at the Royal Academy. I never went to the auditions because the auditions here were before that. So I just made it here. I actually also applied in the classical department here, but I didn't make it. And I took that as a signal, so I should really. I was planning on doing both classical and jazz still, but then I thought, well, just let's stick to jazz.
And that's something I didn't know. I didn't know that you were studying classical actually in Spain, because I know you're such a jazz guy in the flamenco. I mean, with our work together, I think we did like several dozen gigs, and we worked on a lot of projects together. And was it something that is it like a trajectory that is known in Spain to do first classical and then go to the jazz, or there is like something that you chose for yourself?
The problem is that there are more jazz schools, jazz departments, but at that time there were only 2 or 3, and all of them in the north, and I come from the south. So, and Spain is it's a medium-sized country. It's much bigger than the Netherlands, of course. And so you really need to, make an early decision of, okay, I'm going to study jazz and I'm going to Barcelona or to San Sebastián or Pamplona. Those were the three. And Pamplona was starting at the time. Anyway, so, and also there is no basic or middle jazz education. Now there are some jazz schools, like, music schools that you can actually start studying jazz at an early age, but at the time that was not a thing, at least not where I come from. It wasn't a thing. So I would just follow in the path of the conservatory. So I just went with it, I wasn't really...
Wow, that's really interesting that you say that, because I know a lot of very great jazz musicians coming from Spain. So I would imagine that this is being facilitated actually there on, let's say, a more institutional way.
I guess, the more people coming out of those early jazz departments, then they were also pushing, and a lot of them were not from Barcelona or this, they were coming from other places in the country. And then at some point you might just go back and also start moving things in your own region or city. And that's what happened in Malaga now. There are like 2 jazz schools, one like a public one integrated in the conservatory, and then there's a private one, in a city that is not that big,
Yeah.
But that was because a lot of musicians from Malaga, they went to study in Barcelona. Then at some point they went back to Malaga. Now they are there, so they need to move it.
Yeah, and
also,
they need to create
teaching privately, this and that. At some point it's like, like people want more.
Yeah.
And if you have to go to Barcelona, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, and I could imagine that if they're going back to Malaga, they want to create like community there, actually, because jazz is so intertwined with the community. It's not just in a vacuum.
So Malaga wasn't a thing when I was 18 or something. They were all in Barcelona, and because they are a bit older than me, so now they are back in Malaga, and now Malaga is like, it's blooming.
Wow.
So there's a great scene in Malaga.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because I know of the scene in Barcelona, but like Malaga, I would never make the connection. That's so interesting.
Yeah. Really great musicians.
And why the trombone? Like, how did you find it, actually?
It was my father's fault. Father is a musician too, but he could never be a professional because of the circumstances, where I come from. It's just small village, So it's funny because to this day, my grandfather is still alive. He's like 91, something like that. He's like, he's still asking me like, but what do you do? Like,
but do you play in the street?
Because for him, like, and I come from a musical family, like I have a lot of relatives that are musicians, but none of them were professionals. They all had another job, and then music as a hobby, and just for fun, or to play with bands here and there, amateur stuff, But my father actually went to the conservatory, did some classical flute, but just for his own, entertainment. And then he was the one who told me when I was like 7, 8. He already put me in the music school just for kids, just to have fun, sing this and that. And they bought me a little piano, like toy piano, and then I was like playing the tunes from the TV, like with 2 fingers, like.
That's awesome.
Like the jingles, from
That's
TV.
Awesome.
Like, this kid. So he told me, you're gonna play the trombone. I was like, fine, And he said, you know why? I was like, no, because the trombone is everywhere, Because he knew a bit, like how it works, and there's always a lack of trombone players, and especially good ones. And he said, the trombone is in the classical orchestra, of course, is in salsa, in jazz, in pop, sections. I don't know, anywhere, almost virtually anywhere you can think of bands, live bands, that could be,
You're working like every night almost. Right?
Yeah, I'm working a lot. Now I'm working less because I'm not playing any musicals, but also musicals.
Musicals
it's
a lot,
also, but yeah. And then he was right. I ended up playing classical, playing jazz, playing pop, playing anything.
Wow, very interesting. So it's like it came, like your father, I might say, pushed you into it? Or was it something that was like a collaborative thing that you also wanted and he responded to it, or was it like, oh, you're gonna study music?
I don't remember because I was very, very young. Must have been 8 or something when I started playing the trombone. But I think he just suggested, like, you should play the trombone, and I guess I thought, cool, and then he instantly got me a trombone, an old valve trombone from the wind band, like where he played, from the village, one of the village wind bands. So then I took it. I was like, wow, so excited. I loved it, and that was it. And I stick to it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And what is the thing that brought you into jazz?
It was my father too. This man.
This dude.
Yeah, come on, man. No, but really, like, he's like, it's weird because he likes, like, coming from where we come from, he likes jazz, So it was because of there was a famous radio host in Spain. He passed away a few years ago. He was the one who introduced jazz music into Spanish radio.
Wow.
Like the national radio, but it was like at 2 a.m., And my father used to work night shifts, so he would just put the radio in the 80s or something.
Who's that guy? Who's the...
They call him Cifu. I don't remember his Cifuentes. Juan Claudio Cifuentes. It's like a really... He had also a TV show. It was called Jazz Entre Amigos, Jazz Within Friends. He would bring Dexter Gordon, people like that, in the 80s.
He would bring like big names.
Yeah,
to go. Wow,
it's all in the archives of the national Spanish television. You can watch them online now. Like they're on they put all of it on the internet. It's like,
man, this is awesome. I had no idea. I had no idea.
My father fell in love with it. This is great, He started listening to records himself and to the radio programs, and this guy was really, he was really explaining everything. Like he was really making it educational too, for the people to understand what was going on. So he was famous for talking like 15 minutes before playing a song, It was like, now we're gonna listen to Miles Davis, whatever, live performance in that day. The bass player fell off, like he got a bike to go buy cigarette, like all kind of. He went into the insides of the stories of those recordings. I don't know how he came across those.
That's awesome.
The stories, but it was like really nice, educational. So,
and is it known within the entire jazz community in Spain in that sense? Is it like people...
This guy?
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of if I would talk to more Spanish jazz musicians, they'd be, oh yeah, of course, I saw this show when I was growing up, or...
Oh, it was a show in the 80s.
Yeah.
But this guy had a radio program until the 2000s, early 2010s. I think he passed like already 10 years ago, something like that. But like, he was on radio until not long ago.
Wow.
Almost until he died. He got sick and then he passed, but he was active until the last days.
And do you remember any pivotal experience that you had with jazz that you were just like listening to it? Maybe it's considering that your dad got you into it, but a pivotal experience of like, this is what I want to do. Like you heard a record or you heard a recording, and it was just like, man, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like,
yeah, I think he took me to a gig. I must have been 12. He told me to see a gig by Perico Sambeat, alto sax player. Great. He's one of the best in Spain. And funny enough, it was at that time he had I don't think it was his band. It was the band of a flamenco guitar player, Gerardo Núñez, from Jerez. And it was like the beginning of the flamenco jazz in Spain, must have been. And I saw that gig and I thought, wow, this is amazing. I must have been 12 or 13.
wow.
I thought, wow, this is like really, like I was blown away. I still remember that gig, And then I started going to jam sessions when I was 15 with my father, actually, because I was still a minor. He would take me so that I wouldn't drink, you know.
I like that I wouldn't drink. Yeah.
Yeah, so not that I did, but that I wouldn't. You know, so that was also a big part of falling in love with it, you know, just going there and having no idea, you know, whatsoever, you know, at 15, just by listening to some records myself, just trying to improvise.
Yeah.
But the local jazz musicians, they were, yeah, great. There's no trombone players. Come, yeah.
Nice.
Come play. They were very welcoming, of course.
Man, the prophecy turned out completely correct. Huh? It's like you go to a session, it's like, yo, trombone player, come. Even if you're just in the beginning of your journey, you already got the opportunity to be like, let's say, thrown into the water. But actually, that's the best way to learn, right?
Yeah.
And was it something that you remember, like, were you insecure about it, or were you just like fascinated by this?
No, I was fascinated. I think that the less you know, the more, you know, the more eager you're, like the less you care, you know. Like I was like probably not playing anything that made any sense, but it was all about the energy, the moment.
Nice.
Man, that was later on, but still, you know, like I remember playing at a jam session. I was still at an early stage, and there used to be a great jazz festival in Murcia. So like one of the oldest jazz festivals in Spain. But then they stopped it like already 15 years ago, something like that. So, you know, so when I was like, at that time, I was starting to get into jazz and this and that, and there was still the festival, and then a couple more editions, and then they stopped it. But I remember one of the last ones, and then they used to do jam sessions afterwards. And then I was there playing in a session with Walter Smith III.
Damn.
What's the oh my God.
Justin Brown?
No.
Eric Harland?
No, this guy, oh my God, he's great. I mean, I'm not going to remember his name. Anyway, one of these, just modern jazz drummers. I think they were playing with Terence Blanchard, Terence Blanchard's band.
Is it Tommy Crane or Tommy Crane or
no? Oh, God. Anyway,
yeah.
But you know, and I have a couple of videos from the early smartphones that look like it's just a big pixel, you know, like of that session. You know?
Nice.
I recorded myself, you know.
Man, awesome.
So imagine, you know, in a city like Murcia, that's not really. Not a lot going on. I think there was more going on then than now, actually. But that was awesome, you know, like have the opportunity to see those guys there, like next to you, playing with you.
And what did you see which kind of importance did you see of the classical training that you had?
Sorry, Kendrick Scott. Now I remember.
Kendrick Scott, damn, Kendrick Scott.
They just they set the place on fire. You know?
Yeah, of course. Kendrick is like a train, man. This guy is so much power. And also so much control.
We were playing like Caravan, something like that. And I remember that cowbell. It was like,
that it's like overwhelming. That you're
yeah. And then Walter Smith, I was like, how can you play so many notes? You know, like that time I was like, wow. Anyway, sorry, say again.
So my question was, which kind of importance did you see of the classical training that you had in shaping you as a jazz musician and flamenco artist?
I would say none in shaping me as a jazz musician. Like none. Like it's like, how does, you know, like you speak Russian and Chinese, or, you know, like how is Russian, how's Russian affecting your Chinese? It's so different.
Yeah.
Maybe if you get into Bach, you know, I also did 10 years classical piano, so I used to play a lot of Bach. Maybe if you get into that, but that was like later on, you know, I would get more into the cello suites, and that's a lot of language, you know, and maybe you can apply some of that. Actually, Barry Harris said that jazz harmony is a continuation of classical harmony, meaning it's tonal music, because there's some misunderstanding with the modes, you know, the mixolydian, this and that. Like some people think that jazz is modal music. There's modal jazz, but jazz is not mainly. It's mainly tonal music, like classical music, you know. So I guess that was what he meant, you know. But in terms of the instrument, I believe that the technique of your instrument is one technique, one fundamental technique. Like if you're gonna speak, you need a tongue, you need like air in your lungs, and some kind of. And then there's the specifics of the style, of course, the way of articulating, So I still do classical technique. It's not classical technique, it's just fundamentals, You need to be flexible in the instrument. The scales are the scales because it's the same tonal scales.
And it's the same movement.
The same movement, the slide is the instrument is the same.
Yeah.
The tone production is the same, the register,
But then timing-wise is different, the expression.
Timing-wise is different.
Yeah.
And of course, for me, it's the articulation. It's mostly the articulation. And the sound you want to reproduce. It doesn't sound the same as if I speak Spanish, I sound completely different. Even my voice, the tone of my voice changes.
Absolutely.
I speak lower, I think.
It comes from different parts of the throat, different emotional parts also.
Yeah.
But do you think maybe it had, of course, also a direct effect to your ability? Maybe to you it seems so trivial, but the ability to read, the ability to work in a section, so actually it opened you up to having more work.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, of course. If you study classical, you need to read, but the problem is when you only read.
When you only read, yeah.
But then reading other styles is a different story. I had to really learn how to read big band or modern music. It's just a different way of reading. Classical is more like you take it home and you really dissect the whole piece and learn it. But like the sight reading is a different topic.
Yeah. And do you feel that that affected also? No, actually, I have a different question. Is that did you have a moment that you understood, like, okay, if I want to work, I need to know a lot more than this. Like, instead of just like becoming an expert in one thing, I understand that I need to be eclectic in a lot of things.
Yeah, I guess that was already when I was here studying. I mean, when you go to school, you wanna be the best soloist ever. You want to change the path of your instrument. So you study,
you and another 1,500,
Yeah. So like 6 hours a day playing licks, like the most killing licks you could learn. And then I guess I started getting calls to play salsa. That I played commercial music in Spain, of course. I played with a cover band for 5-6 years before I came to the Netherlands, and that was super eclectic too. It was like really long gigs playing from Mexican music, rancheras to paso doble to merengue, a couple salsa pieces, and then we would go on to the pop and more even rock, and like to finish off the set. So I already had to play in section before and know a bit about a bit of everything, nothing really deep. But then when you want to work and you see how little jazz gigs there are, and even less for trombone players, because if you put together a quartet and then people's first thought is not, I'm going to call a trombone player, unless you know one that you like and then you have the player in mind.
Yeah.
Like it happens to me sometimes, like people think of me, Pablo, so maybe it would be nice to have a trombone. But then most of the work you're going to get is where there's already a trombone part, really strong one, like in salsa or even the pop section nowadays, like trumpet, trombone, and sax.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, if you see a path there, so I saw a path there, and then I thought, I need to follow this. So
yeah, for let's say like the fixed, gigs and like the giving you also the rest in that sense.
I mean, it's great to try to pursue a career in jazz, but you gotta pay the bills.
Yeah, I know.
So
Man.
we have an expression in Spanish, and it's like my rings don't fall off my fingers, when I do other jobs, I can play with whatever corny singer. I don't, like it pays, That's all. That's quite the also like the. I have a lot of South American friends, and that's quite the mentality, like they it's like it pays. You pay me, I smile,
Yeah, I understand.
Whatever it is, I mean, to a certain level.
Yeah.
Some point.
Because where do you find your own self-expression in that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, keeping a balance is important. Although, for me, it just works naturally. I still get calls from projects that I find interesting that keep me, okay, so now I have to really practice, go for it, and I have a couple of solos here that are challenging,
Yeah.
But if it's all, for me, if it would all be musicals or just playing my part, and it would be hard.
Yeah.
I guess I would do my own thing more often, which I don't, which I regret,
You regret not doing your own thing more often?
That's my only regret would be not putting more effort and time into my own music. But then
what do you think is standing in the way of that?
All the other work, being a session musician or whatever you call it, freelancer, it's so comfortable. It's just, hey, can you play this day? It pays this much. You need to be there at 5, sound check, gig. This is the music, whatever, there's a rehearsal or not. Yeah. Everything is organized. You send your invoice afterwards. They pay you.
Yeah.
That's it. Whenever I do a gig of my own, I still get calls, mostly in Spain, from a couple of festivals here and there. They call me every now and then. Pablo, we want you to play here with your band. Okay, so if it works, if they pay enough, for me to go there, this and that, bring everyone, I would do it, but it's always a lot of work. It's not worth it. Then I think, why did I take this?
Because the return is very small. Yeah.
The return is very small. And also I don't have anyone backing me because I don't have enough work to have anyone, even a booker or anyone helping me. And it's not worth hiring someone to help you. So it's all on me. The musicians call you, the people from the venue call you, the organizer calls you, the promoter calls you, the mayor of the city calls you, the radio, the TV, everyone calls you. And it's like, man,
I'm getting cold sweat
just
by
for
thinking about it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I had to go pick up the musicians at the airport, myself. Last time I played with my band, I was driving like a maniac. I called Shy and Fatty, great drummer. Yeah. And it was like, I'm never getting in a car with you again. Because I had to pick him up and then I had to go somewhere else. And it was like, like driving like a maniac.
Yeah. Oh my God, man. It's just like, I'm on that path now of just like pushing just my stuff. And it's like, there are days that are dark, man. There are days that I'm like, man, F this, like this is, let me go back to doing only sessions or let me back doing this. But I understand that. I completely understand that. And do you still, like, is it like a cycle that you find yourself in that you're like, man, I miss it. I want to do like my own self-expression on this. Then you get the call or like you organize something and then it's like, man, you know what? I need like to recover from this,
Yeah, exactly. But then artistic wise is the most rewarding.
Yeah.
At least for me. When you put out your music, your own thing that it's like your own baby that you've been, just working on for so long, and then you put it out there for an audience to judge it, and if the response is nice, it's like,
it's the best feeling,
because you play other people's music all the time, and it's like, it's not your thing. Even if you might have your moment, I always get my moment of, spotlight, little solo here, there, even with the pop artists I work with. they all give you a little shiny moment. It's not the same, you know. It's not your thing, you know.
Yeah.
You get just you know,
Yeah.
10 seconds of of glory, and that's it, you know.
15 bars of fame, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. Sometimes it's all you need, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need more. But then I go to the Alto Cafe.
Oh, we got
It's are we in Cuba? Yeah. Yeah. And there was light.
So sometimes
No,
you go
so
to Alto, yeah.
See, yeah, like Yoram From, you know, like the drummer, you know, he calls me every now and then for the Alto Cafe, and that's just for pure self-entertainment and fun, you know, because it's a cafe gig, but you get to play whatever you want and play the longest solo ever. You can play whatever, you know. It's just for you to, and still, you know, there might be, I don't know how many people, like 50 people, or I don't know what the, and still, you know, like you see them so close, and now they have to pay an entrance every night, I think, like small, you know, like fee, cover.
Like €7 or something.
5 or 7 euros, something like that, which makes a difference, because back in the day, it was during the week, it was completely free, and that would just that would be just full of, you know, people of all, you know, like
crazy people,
you know, like I've seen some bizarre scenes, you know, like people just shouting to the audience, you didn't have to pay an entrance, so the only thing you have to pay is attention. You know, like really a piano player, you just stopping the solo, you know, and just shouting to, and they'd be like, "What are you talking about, man?" They would just go on, you know. That's so frustrating, you know. But now they have to pay, so like when you have to pay a little cover, then you go and you wanna see the gig.
It's a different type of exchange, you know. When you have to pay a cover, it's like, oh, even if it's really just a few euros, you know, people are like, oh, wait a second, I have like a commitment all of a sudden. It's like, oh, am I gonna pay to actually be an asshole now? But that's the thing, when there's this type of exchange, I saw in a lot of situations, when there's this type of exchange, people come into it differently. They come to it differently in the sense of, I want to be here. I'm not just ending up here. You know,
absolutely.
Like, oh, I'm just ending up here. Oh, there's like music. Why? Why are you like, what is this? You know?
Yeah. Play softer.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sitting in a bar. What is this music here that's happening?
No, but now you see, you know, the people that they look at the inside the bar. Oh, music. Then they want to come in. €5 cover. And they think about it. No.
Yeah.
We was on. Okay, bye.
Exactly.
You know?
That's the
Go
exchange.
somewhere else.
That's the exchange. Yeah.
That's it. Much better.
What brought you into singing flamenco? What was the thing that started it all? Because I can just say from my perspective, I was setting up a gig. We had, I think it was like just beginning of pandemic or something, and we had it with Jeff Hein and with Conchita. And I was talking to Jeff, and I was like, man, I need a flamenco singer, like, you know, and I know you as a trombone player. I know you, even though in the conservatory I saw you singing and I saw you like, you know, but in the zeitgeist, at least for me, it was like Pablo is a trombone player. And then all of a sudden, when Jeff said, no, Pablo is going to come and sing, I was like, oh, really? I didn't know that, you know? And all of a sudden, this whole like new perception that I had about you opened up and evolved. But I want to know, what was the thing that started that with for you?
It was again in my family. So as I said before, like I come from a family of musicians. So my uncle plays the trumpet, my auntie plays the clarinet, my father plays the flute. A lot of my cousins, they all play instruments. And I have a cousin who is a professional trombone player too, but he went for the classical path, studied in Germany and all. And my grandfather's brother was a flamenco guitar player, you know, so that was there in the family. So it was a thing, you know, like we used to have a little house in the countryside, and we would go there on Saturdays and have lunch all together, whole family, from my father's side. And always after eating, you know, for the coffee, and we would just take out the guitar and play something, sing something. And since I was very little, my grandfather is a flamenco aficionado. My father too. They used to go with his brother, with my grandfather's brother. They would go to flamenco reunions. He would play for some singers of the area, and I don't remember, but my father says that my grandfather used to, when I was like 5 or something like that, put me on top of the table and say, sing.
Wow, really?
And I would sing some, I don't know. He used to play me some stuff on the radio, in the car. He used to have cassettes, he would just play some Rafael Farina, some, singers from the early ages. And there was a kid, like in the 50s or something, that got really famous, Joselito.
We even know him in Israel, Joselito.
Joselito. The little nightingale, el pequeño ruiseñor. Because he used to, and then my grandfather used to make me sing songs by Joselito.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it like? Did you also? Was there a moment of like conflict? I don't want to say conflict of interest, but that you were thinking like, should I take this path or this path?
No, that was never an option for me. It was always, like I was not serious. That was just, I don't know, for family reunions, for fun. I was never a singer.
Why is that, if I may ask? Why is the?
I don't know.
It didn't draw you.
No, you don't see it as a path. It's not. Doesn't exist as a job, like at least where I come from, and that's people that say in the flamenco lore, there is a lot of myths like, no, you need to be born with this, you need to grow up in a family, otherwise you can never sing properly, this and that, but that's like the knowledge you can get in parties is so little. Then the flamenco as a genre is huge. Even only within different regions of Spain, there are different styles, that generated within the different regions, and I don't know. You need to really study, go for it. And I started going deeper into it at a later age, When I kind of realized, like, this is here, why wouldn't I, like exploit it a little bit more, But for me, the path was the trombone. Was my father wanted me to go to the conservatory and, and have, and study, and have a career, like a serious musician career.
Because if I understand you correctly, it's like if you took that path of a singer, you would have to like be in these communities and it sounds almost like the Andalusian communities, like in Morocco, that it's like it's so hard to get in, and they're like, you're not coming from you're not the son of the father of this, of that, and it's like the bloodline.
It's like really, it's like really family lines, and it's really and it wasn't an option for me. It was not even considered as an option for me. Actually, when I started singing more professionally, my family they were surprised. Like, oh, now you're doing this. I was like, yeah,
that's cool.
Why not? Also, I started, of course, much before coming here. But then coming here also puts you in a situation where there is I had no idea there was some flamenco musicians even here. Like Jeff. I met him in the conservatory, but then of course there are more. There are flamenco, mainly flamenco guitar players and dancers and singers. There's maybe one, Luna Segers. She's a Dutch flamenco singer. She went to Spain, of course, to study this and that. I didn't even know there were Dutch flamenco guitar players.
Wow!
And then I came here. I was like, wow, there's actually. Some flamenco scene here, so why not, just trying to. And at the end, I'm barely doing any flamenco gigs anymore. I got tired a bit because it was, again, going back to the birthday parties, like the kind of work. I mean, unless you put together a show and sell it to theaters, but that's a whole different story.
That's a completely different
Eric
rubrics.
Farson Morel is
Yeah.
but he's been on that for years. So every time he puts a show together, so there are few options to work. With used to work with a band that Labrienko. They have gigs. It's like the band of a guitar player. It's more like a kind of Paco de Lucia sextet inspired. But then I also quit, and now I just do a little singing here, singing there.
Yeah.
In other people's projects, and
Nice.
that's it.
And it's interesting because I always find it interesting. Like if I look at, let's say, the evolution of jazz, if you think about it, it's a music that comes from a specific region. It, of course, migrated. We can look at it from like West Africa. The Gnawa migrated, the slave trade, and then it developed to what it developed later with big bands and then bebop later on. But it's such a phenomenon that took the world in that sense. I mean, you can go to Finland now and they have a high level department there, and you can go to to Sweden, and you can go to Israel, and you can go to Spain, and you can go to so many different parts of the world. And I'm starting to see that also with flamenco in that sense. Like what you said with, you didn't know that like there are Dutch flamenco guitar players. For you, this is like such an intertwined thing of the culture you're coming from. But then you see like, oh, people are like practicing it in completely different areas. Like I just came back from Latvia, and the bass player that I was doing workshops there with, Yuse, he told me that his wife is a flamenco singer, like a Finnish flamenco singer.
Nice.
And that's what I mean. That was like, wow, and they record like an album and with like all that stuff. And that's what I mean, that it has such power to get to all these places, that there is also like, let's say, middle ground of maybe it doesn't have to be like you need to come from this area, born to this family and do this, because music is still like something you can share with people even if you're not a part of that. And that maybe has like a direct also evolution to the modernity of it, because when I met Montse, for instance, Montse Cortez, first of all, she was only speaking to me in Spanish, like just speaking to me, and I do not speak Spanish. And for her, she was just like, we were driving like from, I can't remember, it was like Den Bosch or something, back to Amsterdam, and the whole time she was like playing me recordings of Diego Amador and Paco, and just doing like all the, like all the like the accents where they are. And I'm like, this is like, I need to sit and study this. I don't understand this. And for her, it's like, oh, but this is easy. Come on, you just need to know how to do it. And then it reminded me like of how very similar to Andalusian music, like traditional Andalusian music, it's a closed society that expects people, if they want to come in, to already know what's up. And it's like really hard. Yeah. It's really hard. So like more like the pedagogy of it, like how they teach it, is like, I can imagine that it's like really all over the place. Right?
No, there is no. Well, actually, it's been already a while since flamenco is also in conservatories in Spain. But they had to improvise how to teach it, because it's like, like what you were talking about. It's like this folklore music, or like these musics. We call them in Spain musics from the soul. Music from the roots, and they are taught in a way that don't need teaching from someone. It's like, I guess that's what you need to be part of a community, meaning if your grandfather plays that music in the car, when you're a kid, you have it, it's already in your system. You don't need to, at some point, it's just, if you grew up listening to Metallica, you know the riffs, nobody has to explain you.
Absolutely.
If you go deeper into it, of course. But like, of course, for Monse, it's natural because it's what she's been listening to her whole life.
Her whole life,
Like, if you come from outside, of course, you need to kind of make sense of it, like understand it from a. And if you're a musician, of course, you need to, okay, what's the meter here? But like, it's like odd meters are not or odd meters in other musics, in India or
Absolutely not. Yeah.
even in Venezuela they have a a rhythm. It's just a 5, but it's like they call it a small 6.
A small 6.
It's the Venezuelan merengue. It's in 5, but it's just
A small 6. Oh, that's
you
awesome.
call it small 6. They don't even know it's a 5. It's like and you learn the pattern and that's it. You don't think 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3.
Yeah, exactly. Man, it's like the Kopanica. Remember when I was studying with a Bulgarian drummer, and he was talking to me about 11/8. And it's like short, long, short. Tuck, 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 tuck. And it's exactly, and they don't think like 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1. They just think like that: short, long, short.
Yeah.
Then they just put it in that sense. So it's exactly what you said, that they don't think like conceptually that they can institutionalize it and write it down. Although I do think that for the preservation of these type of things, it's like, imagine all of us would just be illiterate. We couldn't read and write the language that we're speaking. There'll be so much miscommunication, so much like situations of Babylon that you just don't know anything. Like, oh, but he said this and then she said that. But then when you have it written out, when you have it like explained, when you have it like cemented in information, it's easier to actually also preserve it. That was what I was trying to do, for instance, with Andalusian music. Yeah. Then I was like, let's write all these pieces. And we wrote like thousands of bars of these like 20 minutes, like C major.
C major, yeah.
Endless. But that's like the lick,
Yeah.
He was also familiar though. That's the lick of like the right?
Yeah, it's the lick. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God!
There's licks too. It's just the same.
But then that's the thing that like when we were writing it out, I remember like in the orchestra when we were doing all that work, you start seeing patterns. And then when you start seeing the patterns, that's why we were laughing about the we were laughing like, oh my God, this is like again and again. Then you understand, oh, this is a cadence to go to the next part, and this is this. And that's why I think like also when I was trying to talk to Monse about it, I was like, let me come to Spain. Like I could like get resources from. Let me come to Spain and like I want to write all these things. And all she said was like, you're gonna eat jamon and you're gonna listen to.
Forget about that.
Yeah, you're gonna listen to flamenco and this. And I was just like, I want to study. I'm a nerd. Yeah. Like I love to study. I love to immerse myself in it. It's hilarious. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just what you said. But classic flamenco, as we know it, is from 100 years ago, where the first recordings. Before that, we don't know what it was like. It's 4 chords. It's the Andalusian cadence, like the Phrygian.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam. That's it.
That's it. Wow.
That's it. Don't look any further.
Like
That's
first minor, 7 minor, 6 major, 5th.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it. The guitar players, they play, like tring, 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 and then with different rhythms. And then the interesting part was the melody. Like the styles are about the melody of the singing. So like with the same bass of guitar, you can sing different melodies that constitute a different style in the same family of styles. Let's say they're like different, like it's a tree, and flamenco is a tree and has branches, and every branch has smaller branches, right? And it was I think Paco de Lucia. So it's kind of recent, like it's from the 70s where flamenco started to, go out of the parties and the bars and the barbershops, There's actually a style of playing the guitar back in the day. It was called the barbershop playing.
For real?
Because people used to play in the barbershops,
Wow.
In Sevilla. El Barbero de Sevilla is a piece by Rossini, I think, by an Italian dude. So it's 4 chords, and then Paco was tired of it. He said it himself. He said, it's just these 4 chords. Then he started getting influences from other stuff, to the point that now flamenco guitar players, to me, it's got to a point where it doesn't really make a lot of sense a lot of the time. Because it's like they fish, like chords from the Brazilian guitar players,
right,
from the jazz players, from this and that, and they compose their own stuff. But like sometimes, like, what is this?
I wonder if
random.
I wonder if it's like a crutch, because tradition has like this massive mountain you have to climb. Like tradition, you know what I mean? Like in the sense of, let's say, one of the massive mountains is you have to go there and spend some time with actual, people that grew up like generations after generations after generations. Afterwards is to become completely immersed in that. And it's a huge sacrifice if you think about it. If you really like, if we just look at it from a standpoint of, if you want to get the actual, let's say, root of it, the like they say in Dutch, the bron, the source of it, this one needs to happen. So it's easier to go online and check some stuff. Of course, I'll be hating here, I know, but it's easier to check some stuff and to get from this guy and to get this course or to check this thing and to check that thing.
Yeah.
But then it's really that balance of, what does pure actually exist still, and does it have a place? It's like a bit of a metaphysical question in the sense of like, is it needed or do we have to evolve?
I think it's like the multiverse, There is place for. But for me, it's like, what is pure? It's like, where do you cut? Like in flamenco, pure is the first recordings. But before that, there was something that was pure. So maybe that wasn't considered pure at the time, But and the thing is that it was pure because there was no influence of other stuff, at least not at the rhythm of today's music, So it was preserved for a longer time in that form because there was the changes were slower. There might be someone who came from somewhere and just brought something new into it, but it would just spread very slowly. And of course we need the evolution of people that get bored of it, and then they just started doing something else because it's like so boring, to do the same thing your whole life. Imagine just singing and playing the same thing over and over. But that was if it's your hobby, okay, every now and then you sing this, you sing that. But if it becomes your job, Paco de Lucia couldn't stay playing the same tunes, the same styles his whole life, So he had to steal from here, steal from there.
Do you know if it came in conjunction, like him starting to get bored from it or all that stuff, because he started to travel and see the rest of the world?
Yes, he said it himself. He went to the States when he was 16 with a dancer. I think it was Italian. It was called El Greco. It was an Italian dude, that was like for the Americans, just doing some ole, really like see videos of that. It's like, okay. And he heard of Paco somehow. He was a prodigy kid. I want you to come with me to the States, and he sent him like a couple flight tickets, and then that's it. Like, okay, to the airport, to the States alone at 16. And of course he was in New York, imagine, like, I don't know, but like in the 50s or early 60s. So that was already, like, imagine, the shock. So,
Man, I can just imagine. Yeah. So, because this is what actually we're experiencing traveling right now. A lot of people are traveling without leaving their home, in the sense of like the amount of information that is available right now.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say on regarding to that is that not only when you go to a place, where they practice this or that music, so not only you see it, it's like if you want to participate, that they're gonna kick your ass so badly that kicking ass is gonna make you wake up, because you might think you are the we say you are the best player of your living room, but then
it's the old saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
exactly.
So it's like, it's similar to that story about birds, about Charlie Parker, when he went to a session when he was young, and they threw
the movie, like that.
Exactly, and they threw the symbol, and that made him go home and shed. I had horrible experiences,
Me
that
too.
were just like sobering experiences. Like, go home, work on this. It was humiliating, and that actually built character. And of course, when you're in a vacuum in your own little, like an incel in your house, like transcribing stuff and putting things online and just doing this without having like, hey, I need to go out, I need to feel people, I need to feel that. That's something that will not change. I mean, it's like a small anecdote. I just want to tell that. It's that I was in Jazz Ahead this year, and it's very intense. I don't know if you've been there.
I was there too.
Yeah, exactly. You were there, but you came to play the gig. But I was there to network.
Ooh.
So I was there
heavy.
3 days, like full on, meetings. I had 20 meetings a day. It was absurd. It was, I almost burned myself out. It was just like waking up in the morning, meetings, talking to people, having like a pitch, this, and
Selling yourself, like, wow.
It's playing the game on a corporate level, on a, that's just the game,
And to people that have been listening to others than you for the whole day, so
for
at
the
some point,
whole
they
day,
don't
and
care,
it's
like what you have to say.
it's like, okay, what are you selling?
Give me
What are
your
you buying?
record, I will put it here in the trash can with the others.
Exactly. What are you selling? What are you buying? What are you selling? What are you buying? And as much as it was like, let's say, intense experience, that's something that we still have to experience as humans. The connection, like, we could have done this when I was like at home, and let's just do it on Zoom, and I talk to you. No, I need to see your body. I need to we need to talk to each other. We bounce off each other, because that's a part that doesn't change us. Like, our physicality doesn't change in that sense. And that's what brings me back to, like, you have to be in the scene, you have to go and see what's up. And if anyone is listening to it, it's like to go out and see the community that you want to be a part of, and if you get your ass kicked, so you get your ass kicked. But if you come back,
You come back stronger.
you come back way stronger.
Yeah, I think I've learned more by going to jam sessions and crashing hard and doing just sessions with my friends, in school. Just go play with your friends.
Absolutely.
I mean, you need to practice your stuff too, but like, go to a session. Do you play confirmation? No. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're there like, do something, like, do something. Whatever, crash. And then you go home and then you say, I don't know confirmation. I'm going to practice confirmation. The next time, what do you want to play? Confirmation. Boom. And then you might play something that,
And it gives you also purpose in that sense. It gives you purpose. Funny enough, we're like, it's like, imagine you go to the gym and then like you lift like a weight and it's like, oh, it's hard. Oh. Yeah. And then like, oh, it's hard. Oh, you're going to just have atrophy at the end. You're not going to, you're just going to be like this puddle of of bones and I mean it's
Wow.
this
Yeah.
is like very exaggerated.
SpongeBob.
Exactly. That being said, I wanted to ask you, we got to this point of the podcast where I wanted to ask you of the worst gig you ever had in your life. A horror story.
Well, there are a few, but this had a bit of everything, you know. Bit of racism. I mean,
Oh, I love it.
xenophobia.
Oh, yes.
Bit of exploitation, you know. No, it was bit of violence. No, it was. I mean, there's the stage, you know, like that happens every now and then. If you play with a lot of bands, not always. You rehearse a lot, and there's sometimes, you know, you play a tune, it's a complete disaster. But I had this gig in a restaurant. Imagine, so just starting with that restaurant gigs. I mean, yeah, they can be fine, but they can also be, you know, super tough.
Yeah,
But
fucking
anyway,
nightmare, yeah.
anyway, so I get this call from this Spanish woman I didn't know. Hey Pablo, I came across your whatever profile, your whatever. I don't remember how she contacted me, but she was like, hey, my husband and I, we have a Spanish restaurant in, I think it was in the Hook van Holland, you know, like you know, below Rotterdam. Like it was super hard to get there, and I didn't have a car at that time, so that's starting with that, you know, super far away. And we wanna organize like a tapas night, you know, and we want some flamenco music. And I was like, great. So, you know, if you can come, you know, with your guitar player, okay, fine. So we negotiated the price. Okay, we came to an agreement. As I was super far away, we cannot come back, you know, because there's gonna be no transport. None of us has a car. Okay, no problem. We put you in a hotel. Great. So
Wow.
it paid okay. And then she called me like a week after. Hey, but Pablo, where are you gonna play? I don't know. We do a repertoire of traditional flamenco, but we were thinking if you could do rumbas, you know, like more party stuff. I was like, well, that's not really our jam, but okay, fine. You know, why not? You know, let's you know, as also just to expand our repertoire. Okay, fine. So I decided to bring my cajon. You know, I played a bit of flamenco cajon just to spice it up a little bit. Anyway, so I meet the guitar players. You know, the guitar player is also a guy from Murcia, from my region, Vicente Santiago. Great, he still lives in Rotterdam. And so we rehearsed this and that. We went to the gig, and then I don't remember if we ever talked about how many sets we had to play, but that was a mistake. Because they wanted us to play like I don't know, 3 sets of an hour duo, you know. You're like, come on, like this, that's a lot. No, but like, you know, before this and then after and then and
the voice also, man.
so that was hard, you know. So we did the whole thing. I remember Vicente, you know, he was playing, and the rumba is like they call the el ventilador, you know, like the way of playing it is like the fan, you know. It's
Yeah.
like chukuchaka, 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 that's it. Chukuchaka, 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 chukuchaka. 3 hours of that, you know, and he was looking at me like, I'm exhausted.
dead.
I'm dead. I can't do this anymore. I was there, you know, playing cajon and singing. I was like, me too, man. Like, you should go through this. So we finished the gig, destroyed. We had great food. I was fine. They had like a big tapas buffet, so we were just drinking a couple beers, having food. So we did the whole business with this woman, but then the actual owner of the restaurant was the husband. And then afterwards, we finished the gig, and then they were gonna pay us in cash. Okay, so the guy came, hey, very, very nice, this and that. So he came with the money already. And then so here's your money. We're like, okay, good. Then I count the money. I say, we're missing €50 each. Like that. I agreed with your wife. Travel costs.
Yeah.
He was like, okay. So he went to the cash register, gave us €50 extra. Fine. We stayed there, having a beer or whatever. I remember Vicente and myself at the bar. And then, like, the guy was there also, like they were finished with the whole night. He was also drinking. And after 15 or 20 minutes, he came on to us. You thieves, you stupid Spanish, sons of this and that. He was calling all the, like, you think you can fool me? You were trying to trick me because you are all thieves. You this and that, calling us, like all the names in the manual.
Racist book ever.
All the cliches, but like he got violent, like. And then a couple waiters from the bar holding him, he was coming on to us to hit us, But they're like, what's going on? And then the woman came, his wife, the one who, I talked to, and he was like, forgive him. He gets a little, when he drinks, he gets a little, excited, like, the hell, this is not okay, Like,
she says it with a black eye.
Yeah. I was like, and Vicente was like, let's get out of here right now. So we were, just packing, and he went on, shouting. They had to lock him in the kitchen, and another waiter, like an older guy, was like, come with me, through the back door. He took us, through the back door, and he drove us to the hotel himself, because the dude was supposed to take us to the hotel. He was like, come on, I'm gonna take you, like running, putting the stuff in the trunk. This dude, he I was like, then they put us in a double room, and I remember we were there like traumatized kids, like, what did just happen, like,
wow.
This dude, imagine, if we were alone with him, he would just take a pan, and hit us in the head or something. He was completely out of it.
Man.
So, yeah, that was that.
So when was the second gig there? Can you imagine her calling you for like?
Funny enough, no, like right before that, we were talking to her like, I wanna make this a thing, like I want it to become like a regular thing every month or something like that, because it was a success, people loved it, and we were like, never again. Turns out she knew someone from my village somehow, like, and then the whole story got to the village, and I was like, wow, these people, like that. This guy is crazy, like. And she was defending him. No, he gets a little, he drinks, like, red flag.
Wow, she was defending him. It's like, no, but you have to put the hands like
this. Exactly. Chin down. Is this? Yeah. Terrible.
She has like MMA training.
Yeah. We were both like in bed, like this. Wow.
Were you afraid that he's going to come to the hotel and stuff?
I don't know. I think we were. Yeah, we were locking the door
course,
like a
million
times, checking out the window, like he come, because they booked the hotel for us, so he knew where we were. I couldn't sleep.
Dude, this is like police stuff, man. This is like...
I was heavy. Yeah.
But then you're like, yeah, but they paid us cash, so maybe, the belasting.
Yeah, that's the only good thing.
And what was like the best experience you remember?
The best.
On stage that you were just like, man, this is...
I mean, probably musically, we were talking about before, like having your own music, perform, and that's super rewarding. But I remember, like, the first time I played like a really big gig. I remember it was here at the Amsterdam Arena with a Dutch rock band. It's called Direct.
Oh yeah.
And it was years ago, like I don't know, 8 years ago, something like that. And and there were like 50,000 people, and that was my first time in such a, like in a stadium gig, like. And I remember the rumble, like the there's so many people that it's like you hear this. I guess like people that go to the to football matches, for them is normal, but for me, and I've never been to a football match or anything, so it was like, and before going on stage, like that noise, and then you get on stage, and you don't see people anymore. You don't see faces. There's so many people.
Carpet.
It's like a carpet, yeah.
Yeah.
So on one hand, it's like, wow, impressive to see so many people, there. But on the other hand, it's like so impersonal, It's like playing for no one, It's like playing for a painting, It's like they were painted there. But it's a shocking experience, like to see so many people. So I would say that was like, wow. I don't think I've ever played for that many people again.
I think probably the applause is also quite overwhelming, no?
Yeah.
The applause.
The applause, yeah.
The applause, it's like this wall of sound that is being thrown at you. Huh?
Yeah, the beer is thrown at you too. Oh no, but everything is just massive.
Isn't Effe doing this gig usually?
No, it's Luke Boudestein.
Luke Boudestein.
Yeah.
He's doing a Nook, I think. Usually Effe, right?
A Nook? I don't know if they have horns. They have horns, but no, Effe is on
Dumar, yeah.
Also with Karsu, they do some big gigs. I've also
you did
played
also
with Karsu. A couple of the Turkish gigs are like the 20K. It's already impressive.
Yeah.
Imagine 50K. It's like, wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome, man. And last but not least is the question that I always ask of, if you could sit with yourself, Pablo, that is, let's say, 15 years younger, and with all the experience that you have right now, all the stuff that you went through, the trials, the errors, the
crazy owners,
crazy owners of restaurants, the disappointments, the triumphs, all that stuff, and you could sit with yourself with everything that you know now, what would you tell yourself?
It's a tough one, Not so much for nostalgia, so to say. So I wouldn't get kind of, deep. I would say something like, I don't know. I've been thinking about this actually lately. I thought, I don't want to say I came to the conclusion, but it's not. It's my own thinking. I see there is no loyalty, in music,
In the business,
in the business, there's no loyalty. I thought there was. So maybe 15 years ago, I thought, or also the meritocracy, how you call that?
Meritocracy,
Meritocracy in music is not always. Of course, if you put the work, the hours, you get good, it's gonna get better for you that if you don't, but it doesn't reflect in the outcome, in the final, in your income. Let's say,
I know, bro.
Yeah. So I would say, do the job, but also be more selfish, don't, there's no loyalty. Sometimes you invest a lot in other people's works, and then, the wind changes direction, and then you're not there anymore, and all of that was for nothing, and you could be doing something else, and focusing more on other stuff, so... Yeah, and you think, this is it. I'm gonna be fine with this and that, and boom. So, and times change, and the older you get, we're not old yet, but I see older musicians too, and then you need to also start thinking about other ways of making it, because the gigging life has also, a short span of time. When you're 60, people want younger musicians, in their bands, and more energy, this and that.
Absolutely.
So just try to surf the wave your own way, no, don't relate too much on other people, because loyalty is is dead.
Wow.
Unless you play in one of these, maybe you have like a garage band, that you all grew up together and you made it together, but that's a whole different story. I'm talking about the freelancing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of envies here, envies there, and people that want to keep their own parcel of their own piece of the cake for themselves, and they don't want to, like, I call this, I don't call you because you didn't call me, and then I don't want to call you because you're gonna take the gig out. That's not how it works. Like nobody's gonna take the gig out of you just because.
Yeah.
You
Wow,
go.
man, that's one of the best answers.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
very honest, very honest. I think that a lot of people need to know that it's like, it's a very vulture-y business, and it's like you said,
Yeah.
the winds are changing, and all of a sudden you find yourself like, you build, man, I can attest to it. Can talk about it for 4 hours, like the relationships that I thought I have, and I'm building something, and then all of a sudden you're dust.
You know what? Yeah.
You're dust,
Yeah.
man. You don't fulfill anymore the need that I have. So, F off. And I do want to tell a story that kind of like made me realize about this thing of gigging and being replaceable. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Exactly.
Yeah,
Everyone is replaceable.
Everybody's replaceable. Everybody. And unless you are the one building something, and still you're replaceable. If that thing becomes bigger than you, you will become replaceable.
Yes.
So I was on tour with this, with an orchestra, doesn't matter who, and we were doing a stretch of 55 gigs. And I remember that I was kind of like leading it musically, but also I was doing it together with a violinist there. And we were going through, like, it was like this extensive Dutch tour that also expanded to Belgium and parts of France. And it was together with a dance company. And at some point I was so much on the road with that violinist, and I saw that he's like mid-50s. And I saw, like, if he's not doing it, he's not going to eat. And he hated that. He hated, like, traveling so much and needing to get the sound check, and it's long days.
Everything is a pain.
It's like, and he's just like sitting there, like, doing the stuff, and we were at some point I was like really punching in, like I'm saying, like, we knew the program so well that it was just like, tuck, doing it, and we started losing and we knew, like, around, let's say, gig 40. It started to be like, just, okay, we got to go to the city and this and that. And all of a sudden it's like, how much sleep am I getting? What is the food that I'm getting? What is this? And I was like, I can't find myself mid-50s chasing after that. I have to think more globally. And of course the loyalty thing, because of survival,
Yeah, and man, that's a good topic. Like when musicians become state workers, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Subsidy.
what you were saying, like
this.
ching,
Yeah.
like 9 to 5 workers,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess it's just another job, We like to make it romantic, and like, oh my God, we're artists and this and that, but we're also workers, We're artists, but it's a job, and
when you go to the supermarket, it's not like it's like, oh, here's your food.
Exactly. And some people are like, yeah, but we should, like, we shouldn't become like, like state workers. Well, you should have a bit of that, because otherwise, meaning you need to set boundaries too, because sometimes, like, yeah, but rehearsing until what time is the rehearsal? 5. Okay. And then, no, but like this, can we do until 6 because of this and that? Maybe once, but when it becomes, we say, you let someone take your hand, they're gonna take your arm,
Yeah, you give a finger, they're gonna take the arm.
They take the arm, So like there's, but like when it becomes like really like what you were saying, when everything is just, a pain in the,
I gotta say, I learned a lot from that, working with Marmusha in that sense. I try to do my best in the sense of, I would get these feedbacks and like, okay, how can we make it as efficient as possible that you are coming and it's like, this is what we agreed on. Because I know how it's like to be on the other side of someone like asking 10% of you, but then they're asking 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%.
The job becomes also tedious and boring, you know, if it's not like...
Yeah.
You know, it's
efficiency.
It's the professionalism. People have the image of the Rolling Stones, you know, like going to a retirement house, not retirement, like you know, like what I mean, like to a house to a villa
in the Hamptons,
in the south of Italy, and compose the next album, you know, all together.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Every day and with no, no schedule. Like, I woke up at 3 a.m. with an idea and then we recorded it in the studio. Like,
no,
man. This is maybe they can do it, but it's just know.
It's funny. It's unicorns. It's really unicorns of the business that it's completely an exception of the rule. And people are trying to make that rule. And it's like, no, this is not... People are alone. People are freelancing. It's like you are standing by yourself in front of the whole business. You need to deal with that. That's why boundaries are so important.
And people...
Because there are vultures out there. They're going to eat you up, you know.
And then you might work with artists, you know, that already have a name. And then they, you know, like... Hey, can you rehearse this, that, then? Then they don't want to pay, you know, like, or they want to make like a fee for the whole rehearsing, you know, like, but rehearsing is part of the job, you know, why, you know, like but you know, some bands, they rehearse for free, maybe because they are friends' band, you know, but if you hire professional musicians, like, you want me to be rehearsing for you the whole day, and what am I gonna do? You know, that's a day lost for me. You know,
absolutely.
You know, I could be doing something else. It's not that I don't want to rehearse, but you know, if you hire people, it's like any other job. But like, it seems like, but like, you know, how are you gonna get paid for a rehearsal? That's still in Spain. It's like it's a unicorn. You know, like they pay for the rehearsals. You know, like, oh my god, you know. Like, it's like, no, we pay you for the gig this much, and the rehearsals are included.
You can't do that, no.
And then on the other hand, I understand it's hard, you know, to get money to pay the musicians for the...
Yeah. It's also the flexibility. It's a give and take thing,
But also, if it's your own project, maybe see it as an investment, you know. If it works, and when the thing works, the musician gets the same and you make the money. Or if it doesn't, well, failure. But like,
still,
like any
safe.
risk, you know, it's a risk. It's an investment. But you cannot ask me to take the same risk you do for your project, because it's not fair.
No.
Because it's not my project. You're hiring me, you know. I'm going to open a restaurant, but like the first, you're going to work 5 days, but I'm just going to pay you 3, you know, because, you know, it's rehearsing, you know, like, no, man.
That's awesome.
I'm a waiter, you know, like I always say, you know, what do you do? I'm a worker of music, you know. Like, it's funny because my old teacher back in Spain, when I was a kid, he was telling me not to be a worker of 8 notes. He said, you know, like,
interesting. Wow.
Like jornalero de corcheas, which is like a day worker of 8 notes. Like, don't play those notes like you are working in a bar, you know, in a factory, exactly. Like one no, like, meaning put some more artistry into them, I guess, you know. Like,
I mean, if you think about what we're doing, it's a small percentage that can do that, you know, in the sense of like, it is a special thing. You know, it is a special thing that you can wake up. Sometimes it can seem monotonous, like you're doing the same and it's a project and you're dealing with these, or maybe even the type of challenges that you're dealing with, they seem the same. But I would prefer to have these challenges than, like, you know, working like cleaning up streets or working in a restaurant, or like, I would prefer that, you know?
I know. Yeah, my girlfriend, for instance, she's a doctor, and I'm like, you know, well, being a doctor, you know, one thing from the outside, I don't know, must be nice, no? It's your passion, your, you know, your, what you want it to be, you know, or your, you know. And then she's like, I'm so jealous of you. I'm like, how come? I'm like, sometimes I'm just, you know, like, take my trombone and go into a rehearsal, you know, like kind of, I would rather stay home, but, you know. And most of the time it's not for your own. You're sitting there and hearing other people practicing their parts. What they should have done at home. Like they're okay. Let's check this. What chord was that again? Yeah. Oh man. Then also being a horn player, it's you don't play all the time mostly, and so you're sitting there. Oh, we need to play now. Oh, wow.
How many times I saw in rehearsals on your phone?
Yeah. Just like because you cannot keep the focus all the time. You're talking to some other section.
I remember we went before we went to Turkey. Like you were, there was some. It doesn't matter who. I mean, we're not gonna shame, but it's like we had an oboe player that just couldn't hang, and you were just like, yeah, you have the recordings, you have the notes, you have time. And the oboe player.
Yeah,
he or she were.
Say them. Like
them. Yeah, they were.
They were, but yeah, that's what it is. So like, it can be frustrating. Like if you've done your homework, and then that's also what we were saying before. Like, try to surround yourself with people better than you.
Yes.
Like, otherwise, you're gonna be miserable your whole life.
Yeah, you're gonna be like declining.
Yeah.
Bro, thank you so much for doing this. It was
my pleasure.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there something that you would like to plug? This is going to come out in 4 weeks.
Yeah. Can I make promotion of my book?
You have a book of exercises, or
yeah, I made a small flamenco method.
Of course, yeah.
So
please, we're gonna also put the link
please.
below and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I made where's my camera? Yes, there. So I made a nice method of flamenco from my region, which is the most rich flamenco in terms of melody of them all, which is true. And not because I'm saying it, it's true. This is the truth. It's the styles from, it's called the Cante de Levante, is where I come from. Cante de las Minas, from the mines, It's all rubatos, is perfect for melodic instrument players, because it's super rich melodically. And I made transcriptions, and I made a method how to practice it, how to, understanding. I made a recording of them all, so if you're bored of, playing all the same etudes over and over and over, for classical players, for anyone, just to have something else, some more literature.
Man, I want to get it.
See, but you play the piano. No, I wrote the chords too. It's like
nice.
It's like
awesome.
How you say, like real book charts.
Yeah, I mean,
only the melodies are. Like,
I always love to just study, and
so,
if it's written out, great.
It's on my website.
We're gonna put the website. We're
PayPal,
gonna put everything.
MasterCard, Visa, anything.
Amazing. Yeah, great. Yeah. Anything else you want to
no, just thank you. Thank you for letting me sit here and talk. And
man, thank you for doing it, man. It's great seeing you also.
My broken English.
No, it was great, man. It was great. It was great. It was also great seeing you again. And please follow us for more. I would like also to thank Joao MB Costa, our producer here, that has been sitting patiently and listening to all of the stuff that we're saying. Joao, thank you so much. And we're actually in the new studio. This is Joao's studio here. Every time that we're meeting, we're like upping the game. Next time it's going to be like on the moon,
Perfect.
With a shuttle. We're going to get there.
No oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. So
very short.
Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe and follow us for more content. We have very interesting guests coming up on the roster, and we're going to see you at the gig.